Hi, Emmy Martin. Welcome to A.PUTNAM's Women in Golf.
Hi, Allie. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here. And just as a quick introduction, Emmy, you were the Women's Golf Ambassador for Golf Club of Georgia, and you were also the founder of Played with Heart. So we can't wait to dive into both of those roles that you hold and really what's gotten you to this point and kind of what's next in your career in golf. So super excited to have you. So, Emmy, we actually get to meet face to face. What was it, a week ago now? A little bit over a week
Yeah.
ago, at the For Hire event, which you kindly hosted at the Golf Club of Georgia. That third day, we got to do that really cool clinic at the club. So, you were there in a really cool role and got an introduction to you and the owner of Golf Club of Georgia. That was really special. And it's actually very rare that I get to meet a woman in golf before having these. So I love that we got
Oh,
to meet face to face.
yes, me too.
So we had, well, we normally start all these conversations with the simple question of how golf came into your life. So do you want to start from square one as to when you started golfing or how that came about?
Yeah, so I kind of grew up playing everything. Did gymnastics, basketball, dance, cheerleading. And when I was about 12 years old, I was really big into competitive gymnastics, and I was getting a little tall for that. Most gymnasts are pretty short, and I'm pretty tall. So my dad was like, "Here's a golf club," and I had kind of gone to the course my whole life just with my dad and brothers. I have two brothers, so he'd take us all to the golf course, but I never really liked it. I wasn't very good, and it was always a boy sport, and so none of my friends played it. It wasn't very girly, so I just didn't really take much of an interest until I was 12, and I started getting lessons, and then I'd also kind of the older I got, I learned more. Like my grandmother was a really good player, and so I don't know. It was one of those things where I just started playing a little more. I started working at it, and that's really, I'd say, really what kept me in it was I started putting a lot of work into it and seeing my hard work pay off. So essentially, golf is what taught me to work hard, and that's kind of what kept me going and kept me coming back to the golf course.
That's amazing. So, and I think there's a lot of women that feel that way, especially as they took on golf as their sport and then their career. That's something I would think a lot of women are fortunate enough to have picked up from the sport itself and the community around it. So, through all that, when it became kind of your sport, was that in high school that was like you went through 4 years and said, "This is the sport I want to play"?
Yeah, so I guess I was like 12, and so I was started playing the
Okay.
junior tours and whatnot, and then so I grew up in Florida. So Florida is obviously a big hotspot for golf, and so there's
Yeah.
a lot of competition. So when I went to high school, I kind of decided like golf was going to be it. That would be my sport.
Hmm.
My brothers played college baseball. My dad did, so that was kind of I just knew I was going to play a sport in college. That was always a dream of mine. And
Yeah.
so at the time, it just seemed like golf was going to be the sport to do that. And so yeah, when I got to high school, um, that's really the only
What you
sport
stuck
I
with.
played. Yeah.
Yep, all year round, I'm sure, especially in Florida, you could do that.
Yes, there's no off season.
No, no. And so then did you go through the process of looking at schools for golf? Like, were you at that point
Yes.
planning to play in your, yep, college career? Because I know you did. You went to TCU, right?
Yes, go frogs. Yeah, so I started getting recruited, and so that was, a process in and of itself. And then I ended up choosing TCU, but it's kind of funny because the reason, the For Hire event, Courtney Trimble, who is the founder of For Hire, she actually
Mhm.
recruited me to go to Louisville. And so I was really looking at Louisville too because Courtney is amazing. But I ended up choosing TCU, and it's honestly one of the best decisions I've ever made. My coach was incredible, my teammates, the whole school. It was the perfect fit. And yeah, I couldn't have chosen a better spot for me.
Mm. Yeah, and that's funny how that works. Okay, now that joke makes sense because I know Courtney at some point, I think even introducing you, saying that
Yes.
you had chose a different path after she had recruited you. So it's funny to hear the color
Yes.
around that. But it is
Yeah.
kind of funny how that works with colleges, that it's in the end it is definitely the best fit. So
Yeah.
through your 4 years at TCU, what was it like playing golf in that landscape and the competitiveness of it? Was it something you thrived in, or was it because I always I think of golf and it's so eye-opening having gone to the For Hire event and talking to some of the women that are in college, the way golf is played, even the competition between teammates, right? I think there's something,
Mhm.
there's always, like, I played lacrosse, and so there's the competition of I need to be better than some of the women on my team because I want that starting position. And so in golf, you obviously have that same mentality that you want that position to travel for the next tournament and things like that. So, how was that for you? Even freshman year, was it one of those things you right out of the gate were playing, or did it take some growth on your part to being that, really contributing player?
Yeah, so college golf is just like you said, it's very, very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
I think golf is an interesting sport because it is a team sport, but it's also very individual. So it is hard to be on a team with all, a close knit team, and you're competing with each other, but at the same time you are competing against each
Mm-hmm.
other week after week to get that spot, the traveling spot and whatnot. And so I did go in my freshman year and I played from the start, and so that was really cool to get that experience like right away. But it's definitely, I feel like that's definitely an adjustment, being on a team with like your best friends, and then yeah, you're
Mm-hmm.
competing with them. But I had a really special experience as a freshman. I went on to a team as the only freshman with five seniors. And
Wow.
so yeah, from the beginning, like I was a little baby and I had such good role models, just girls to look up to, and they just took me in under their wing. And I think that that was kind of the starting point of just um, like they welcomed me so well, and so I think that that was kind of part of what made my experience so special, like freshman year.
Yeah, that sounds like it. Um, I probably a little daunting being the only freshman, but
It
I'm sure to some
was.
degree, yeah, they took you
Yeah,
under their wing. That's really, really cool. So
yeah,
through your experience at TCU, kind of as you neared the end of that 4 year mark, were you deciding whether you wanted to play competitively, or what was the thought process when you were looking at what do I do after college? And I asked this because it's actually again tied to the For Hire event. It's I think a lot of women that go through playing a collegiate sport of any sort do kind of question, what do I do after this? And I know for me in lacrosse, I never ever thought there was a continuation of the sport after college.
mhm,
Because really, I mean, it's unlike golf. There's no real, at that point, professional women's league. So,
yeah.
what was your thought process and path post college?
Yeah, so I'd say there's definitely a little transitional period. But I mean, for after I graduated, I definitely wanted to keep playing. But I think, my whole life, I've always, like, I mean, in high school, I always had this dream of playing college golf, and that was everything. And then I did that, and yeah, you're right. It's like, what's next? And
Mm-hmm.
so I'd say professional golf was definitely next. So I did venture into that for a few years, which it's such an incredible experience to be able to play golf every day. I mean, that's everyone's dream, right?
Yeah.
So to be able to do that was really, really cool. Especially it's unlike a lot of other sports. Once you're done, you're done if you don't get drafted or whatnot. But golf
Mm-hmm.
is special in that way that you can continue to play. So it was pretty cool to be able to do that.
That's awesome. And that's a big leap. So, and also another, I mean, really a grind. in terms of kind of paying your way to travel these tournaments and, the time you're spending on the sport, and the percentage of winnings and things like that. Like it's very, very competitive. So you said you did that for what, 3 years?
Yeah, I guess 2 years. So I guess so after I
Mm-hmm.
graduated, I went to Q school, which is
Okay.
qualifying series for the LPGA. So I played 2 years on the Symetra Tour, which is now called the Epson Tour.
Okay.
And so I did that for 2 years, and then I'm still playing professionally, just
Oh, cool. I
in,
don't think I knew that.
state. Yeah, so in state opens and whatnot, but I did take like 2 years completely off from golf, and so this is a new thing as of this past year. I've taken it up again, which has been really fun, and I've enjoyed it a lot. So,
That's amazing. I did not know that. Congratulations on
oh,
being in that
thanks.
position to, I mean, really to pick it back up. I think that's what you just spoke to about the sport. That's something that is possible.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess even getting to the point of when you were playing professionally on the Epson Tour, um, was there a point, not necessarily in your life, but like in that career moment where you were like, I need to look for something else? Because I'd love to hear kind of what was after when you pressed pause on playing, and obviously you picked it back up, but did you go directly to the Golf Club of Georgia as your next position or job?
Yeah, so I kind of have a few little um
Don't we
different
all?
hurdles in there, but yeah, so when I was playing, you know, obviously like it's not as glamorous as it seems. It's very lonely, and so it just I love to travel to an extent, but just traveling week after week by yourself, it just got very lonely. And so for me, that was kind of what really started to make me pivot away. Especially coming transitioning from college golf, you're always with a team, and it's so fun to travel to all these cool spots with your team. But if it's but it's just a whole different game when it's by yourself. So that was a big part of it, and then also, I mean, the money is it's not great.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I want to start building a career,
Yeah.
and so that is really those two things are what helped me pivot outside of that.
Mm-hmm. Those make sense. I don't think that's out of the norm, and I again heard that from a few women at the the For Hire event,
Yeah, it's
and it is
it's true.
we had started sponsoring an Epson Tour player this year, and it's even funny. She won her first tournament back in October, and
Hey,
even watching her,
amazing.
I know, isn't that cool? So Natalia Guseva, so she very cool, and she had just graduated from University of Miami, but even in that experience of her winning, I remember asking like, "Hey, can we FaceTime after you receive your trophy and all that?" And she was like, I'm literally running right now from the course to my next flight to get going. So even in that moment where you're like, oh man, I really wish she could like be situated and celebrate. And
Yeah.
she was like, I'm off to the next tournament, and I don't think she had family there when she won. Like just some
Yeah.
weird like dynamics of the
Hmm.
sport, and like you said, not having a team around you to celebrate something like that has to even
Yes.
be, even in the highest moment of maybe her Epson Tour career so far. Oh, just watching that's like, oh, it is like kind of the reality of it.
Yeah. No, you nailed it. That's it.
It's crazy. It is. It's really eye-opening. But um so what did you do to take that step from playing professionally to then getting a position at the Golf Club of Georgia? How was it networking? Was it,
Yeah. So networking, like we talked about, at the For Hire event, networking is
mm-hmm.
everything. So the owner of the Golf Club of Georgia, he was actually my sponsor when I was playing professional golf. And
Oh, that's
so,
right. Cool.
yeah, so that was my home course, and he sponsored me when I was playing. But initially, like after I had stopped playing, I had moved home to help my family with a family business for like a year. Um, and so there was a little transition period then. And then I was like, I love Atlanta. And so, I mean, connections are everything. And through golf, I've met so many incredible people. People have been so kind. Um, and there's so many people who do want to help you and want to help you
Hmm.
succeed. And so I am very grateful to the Golf Club of Georgia and the owner, Mr. Kenny, for giving me this opportunity I have now in my current role.
That's so neat. And how long have you been in this role for?
Yes. So I moved back here in March. So,
Oh, okay. So not too
yeah.
long. Like this is
No,
all
not
kind
too
of
long.
fresh still going
Yeah.
from, yeah, playing professionally to this. So,
Yeah.
um, what's your role entail at the Golf Club of Georgia?
Yeah. So, as a women's golf ambassador, it's essentially growing the presence of women's golf at the club, at our Horseshoe Bend Country Club, which is our sister club,
Hmm.
and all across Atlanta. So, just getting more women's events out there, showing that golf is or the golf course can be a networking space, just like we use it for
Hmm.
hire. I
Hmm.
think women oftentimes miss out on so many opportunities because, especially in business, because they maybe don't feel comfortable on a golf course and whatnot. And so for me, coming out of professional golf, I'm really learning, even just from the women at the club and just women who didn't grow up around the game, like this is a
Hmm.
whole new dynamic for them, and they don't feel comfortable. It's like, why? So we're trying to invite them in and just grow the game for women and for young girls at the club.
That's so cool. And have you found that there's any specific events that you've put together that does just that? Like where you're like, hey, if we ever do a little clinic, that's what brings the women out, or um, some kind of tournament. Is there something you found resonates more? And I'm sure it's a little bit of the level of play, right? So there's probably certain clinics or events you're putting on that are more comfortable for a new golfer to come to versus maybe a tournament that's a little bit more daunting. Have you found anything that's kind of like this works really well?
Yeah, so I think it's kind of different. Like, I mean, there's different targets. So so first when I came there, I did a masters event called the Azalea for the ladies. So, I mean, every year we have a masters par three contest for the men at the club, but there's never anything for the women. So it's like we have a cute little par three course at the Golf Club of Georgia, as you saw. And
Mm-hmm.
so we had it was called the Azalea. It was a women's par three
Cute.
contest. And then we had a whole tent of masters inspired snacks with the pimento cheese sandwiches and like
Oh,
all these,
cute.
just, made it an event. And the women, they loved getting to meet other women and like find,
Mm-hmm.
and like some of them are more competitive than others. Some of them were just there for the snacks, and that's lovely too,
Right.
So it's like, but
Yeah.
it got them out there, and it just, and so I've done a few of those, like sip and swing, things like that. But then on the networking side, like with what we do with For Hire, that brings a whole nother crowd of women out
Mm-hmm.
there. And so I think there's different ways to do it, but it's been really fun just to see more women out there. I mean, because usually that is not the norm, but if we can just make women feel more, comfortable and just make them feel welcome
Yeah.
on the golf course, I think that it does, it can do a lot in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems that would also benefit, the Golf Club of Georgia too, expanding the number of women that are golfing and using the course. It's such a mutual beneficial thing, I think, from a business
Yes.
standpoint, and then also for just the women being introduced or that love the sport. It's you're in a fun position
Yeah,
to do that. That's
exactly.
awesome.
Yes.
So
Thanks.
I can't wait to ask you about kind of this other project that's on your plate called Played with Heart. Can you speak to where this came from, kind of what it is, and what's going on with it?
Yes. So Played with Heart is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that seeks to inspire and equip the next generation of girls with the essentials needed to play the game and bring to light the greater purpose found in this sport. Um, Really, this idea came to me after my freshman year of college. And obviously, I haven't done a whole lot with it up until the past few years, but I just remember being after my freshman year at TCU, I was like, wow, like I can't believe that I get to go here. I get to play at TCU. Like this is so cool. I have such an amazing coach. She is, a role model. She's like a second mom. She's such an inspiration. I have such incredible teammates who have become my best friends. Um, and then just the opportunity to get an education here. And this is all because of golf. And I'm like, I think that this is where God really showed me like the impact that golf has had on my life. And so the way this all really started was I really wish I had a way to give back to young girls. And like, I want this opportunity for everyone. So at every junior golf tournament growing up, we got a new hat and a new shirt. And so I was like, there's so many of these that literally still have tags on them. So, and I've always thought a cute golf outfit makes golf a little more fun. Especially growing
Amen
up,
to
it's
that.
like, yes, it wasn't like a girly sport. So I was like, I wish,
Yeah.
I could make this more appealing to young girls. So anyway, I took the hats and the shirts and I bundled them up into little outfit sets with matching bows. And
Cute.
this is what I donated to girls' golf sites. So that is how it all started, was equipping girls with outfits. And then it started to, every girl golfer has this problem of all this accumulation of golf gear and equipment and outfits, whatever. So girls started donating, which has been fantastic. So I've donated, I mean, it's gone everywhere. And then since then, I've really taken a deeper dive into, how can this really impact a girl and like enable her to play golf. And so since then, I'm not doing as many of the donations as far as clothing and whatnot, but it's turned into creating opportunities through events and creating events that are teach girls the game of golf in a fun and girl-friendly fashion. So everything is pink, it's very extra. Just making
Hmm.
golf more appealing to young girls because, in my opinion, that's I think what is lacking a lot of times. Um, I feel like a lot of times I'm not a mom, but I can just see from that perspective, it's like, you can sign a little girl up for dance or gymnastics but
Yeah.
like golf is not really an option a lot of times, or there are very few places, you
Hmm.
can sign your daughter up for golf and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I am trying to change that narrative. Um, and
Cool.
then also our events are, I believe in one generation leading the next. And I think that all came back from, like I said, my freshman year. I had 5 seniors on my team. I've always
Yeah.
had a really core group of like older girls around me, which has just kind of been a theme of my golf career, which I think there's a reason for it. And so
Yeah.
um, the clinics and events are led by um, former college players and professional golfers,
Cool.
just to create that role model connection for little girls. So,
Yeah. So it's so neat to see how the Played with Heart organization has evolved for you. You obviously went from donating all the accumulated gear that you had from your playing experience and other women that are in the same position, and then realizing that there's more in terms of that organized um, clinics or events that bring those girls together. But then that last kind of cherry on top and utilizing the almost like mentorship program, right? And bringing people in that can
yes.
um, support the idea of women playing golf and young girls playing golf. And that's what's so fun. And I think that's what's moving the needle and bringing more light to this sport as an option for young females. And I always joked, I think my dad was like, you definitely should golf, knowing that there's more scholarships and there's more money there. But I think that's changing. It's probably becoming more and more competitive actually
Mm-hmm.
as the sport is growing, but it's such a good thing. And I think we all want to see that even that eye opening for me, like last week, of understanding what it looks like to play professionally. And it's too bad that there's not more support and even money or resources for those women that have decided to play professionally. Because I think, like you
Mm-hmm.
saw, like there's something that makes that very, very hard. Like super rewarding and fun, I'm sure, in some elements, but very neat to see just who you're involving in this and supporting those young women. Kudos to you for
Thank you.
even working on it. As you obviously are developing your career and getting busier by the day, obviously, if you're the women's golf ambassador at Golf Club of Georgia, but now you said you're getting back into actually playing. And
Mhm.
then you have the Played with Heart organization that you're growing. So, in terms of what's next for you, as you juggle this career at Golf Club of Georgia and the organization of Played with Heart, and then now playing professionally, is there a priority for you or something in that mix that you see growing or being a bigger part of your equation in your career?
Yes, for sure. So I'd say right now I'm really not playing a lot of golf. I'll pick that back up more so in the spring. But no, I mean I am heavily diving into Played with Heart and my role as women's golf ambassador. And it's cool because the two kind of go hand in hand, getting more. I mean, the future of membership at all clubs is junior golf. So it's like this is our next generation. So to be able um, to bring this out to the Golf Club of Georgia and host events there. It's really really cool. And then to be able to start planning for next year as far as events go and whatnot. And yeah, so that's really that is where my head's at right now for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think you'll find a lot of growth in that, the growth and support around it, which I'm sure you're feeling. And but it takes a lot of
Yes.
time and organization to do something like that. So I give you a lot of credit for juggling all that, and in the same breath, like staying in the sport and trying to grow it for other women's really, really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm excited to see where you go with any of it. And obviously, if we can support it anyway, we'd love to. And if I can find another excuse to come over to Golf Club Georgia again, I'll take
Yes.
it. It was
Oh my
so
gosh,
pretty.
you are welcome to come anytime.
Okay, well, it might have to come with a lesson because I am by no means a good
Yes.
golfer, but I thoroughly enjoy it.
Yes, no, please come out there with me. I'd love to host you.
Amazing. And I did want to talk about this, and it's kind of, I know we were trying to wrap this up, but in the middle of all this, you also have modeled before, right?
Yes.
I feel like you left that out. So I don't know if there's any other little nuggets of your career that are floating out there, but I think that's something very cool to call out that you're
Thank
I mean, I
you.
will say having just a year of experience in the industry, it's hard to find a model that can actually swing a club. So I'm
It's
sure you're
definitely
like kind of a diamond in a rough.
aw, well, thank you. No, it's super fun. I've gotten some really cool opportunities through that. And that's what I mean. Golf is just like this has become my life. Like it's a lifestyle and I just
Mhm.
yeah, I've gotten some I never really thought I never really thought about that before until it kind of came up after I graduated. But yeah, I've gotten to work with some really cool brands within the golf world and so I will take any of those opportunities as they
It's
come.
cool. Yeah, it's so
Thanks.
cool. And you're in a good spot. I know I'm keeping you in my back pocket.
Thank
So
you, thank
it's
you.
nice. I
Anytime.
know. Like you said, all those connections and that networking around golf is very powerful and impactful.
Yes.
So I can't thank you enough for the time today and just sharing your story. I think there's so many pieces of it that a lot of women can relate to. So it's nice that you can be out there kind of leading the way for younger women in golf and everything else you're doing at the Golf Club of Georgia. So thank you
Oh,
so much for your time.
yes. Thank you for having me. And I mean, you are such an inspiration. I loved
Oh,
hearing
thanks.
your story at the For Hire event.
Yeah,
That
it
is
was
like,
fun.
it's so cool to hear. So I always love talking with like-minded women in the golf industry and
Yeah,
everything. So I
yeah.
really appreciate you having me.
Oh, absolutely. Hands down the best part of this gig for sure.
Yes.
So nice to have met you and spend a little bit more time today, even getting to know each other. So can't wait to
Yes.
share this and you and be a supporter of everything you're doing. So keep it up.
Oh, thanks, Allie.
Thanks, Emmy. See ya.